Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jenny VIP Thought Series. This is just like a little mini-sode series that I've been developing over the past few months. Essentially, I just want to be more in touch and be more transparent and honestly more alignment with all of you who've been listening to the podcast. These little episodes are really meant to give you all just real thought snapshots in the moment. Um, Things that I think, that I'm struggling with or emotions that I'm going through. I want to be able to share them with all of you because I want you to know that we're all going through this. And, if you're having a particularly rough week, like maybe one of these little mini-sodes might resonate with you because we all have them. Life has tons of ups and downs, and I think it's just important to know that you're not in it alone. And this is really what the point of all these are. So you won't hear the same topic over and over again. Most likely, it's going to be very different from episode to episode. But I really hope that you find them helpful, and I would love to hear from you on them. So let's take a listen.
Everybody. Um, Hope everyone's having a great day. This morning I am talking to you from a personal place about a story I do want to share um, regarding health and my health. Um, so about I don't know, 13 years ago or so, I was experiencing, maybe it was 14 years ago, I was experiencing pretty pretty severe abdominal pain. All of a sudden, it was every month, along with my period, came this horrendous. Maybe it wasn't exactly with my period. It might have been before. I can't remember exactly, but I was getting this monthly horrendous pain to the point where I was crippled on the floor, just like curled up into a ball. This terrified my mother because I do have a high pain tolerance, or rather, I probably just cope with pain. And it's not necessarily that I have a high pain tolerance, it's just that I just deal with it. Um, so this frightened her because I am not a person that had ever really asked for help before. Again, not a toxic trait I want to promote here, but um, I I never asked for help, and she never really saw me in a situation like that where I was feeling so bad that like she needed to do something. So in those instances, I think it happened two times or so, two or three times. Um, so a couple of months. She had to call the ambulance, and they rushed me to the hospital. Now, when that happened, they didn't know what was going on. Um, the pain would subside while I was at the hospital, and the doctors would do all kinds of tests. They told me I had pelvic inflammatory disease, which is a medical way of saying we don't really know what this is. We think it might be some kind of STD related situation, which is honestly kind of an asshole diagnosis to give someone because you're basically telling them, we don't know what you have, but we're going to assume you have an STD. And and we're going to assume just because of your age and because you're sexually active, you have an STD, and that's why you have pain. So there's stigma involved there, but I won't talk about that as much here. But yeah, I was I would be double over pain. So I remember I went to the hospital. They said, we don't know what's wrong. Your white blood cell count is incredibly high. We think you might have PID. We don't know what it is. We'll figure it out. Um, Flash forward a little bit. At that time, they said I had mononucleosis. I think it was 26 when this happened. Yeah, I was 26 when this happened because it was when I first met my husband. So they said I had mono, and they kind of brushed the severe pelvic pain aside. And I eventually, like, I got treated for mono, and then I did end up at my OBGYN, and they said that, oh, there's a cyst growing. Um, so maybe the cyst is what's causing you this extreme pain. We don't really know. We're going to go in for it. Um, so I ended up getting scheduled to have the cyst removed. And when they went in for the cyst, everything went fine. I came out of surgery, and the OBGYN said to me, We got the cyst. By the way, while we were in there, I was shocked at the amount of endometrium that you had in your abdomen. Now, for everyone listening, endometrium is a term used when you have endometriosis. Endometriosis is a disease where um, your period starts growing on the lining of the uterus, doesn't come out. My understanding, I'm going to look this up to get a better term, and I'll probably use I'll record myself with the formal terminology for it, and so I can properly describe it. But it's when the lining of the uterus doesn't come out, but it grows on the inside of your body, which is what causes the extreme pain because it's growing on your uterus, on your fallopian tubes, on nearby organs, and that's where you start to get pain. But I didn't know this at the time. Well, I Googled it lightly, but it, again, like I didn't know the severity of the situation at the time. The way that the doctor said, and I trust the doctor, he said, we got it all. I was shocked at the amount you had, but we got it all out. You're good. And then that was it. I went in for a follow-up and that was it. And I didn't have any pain after that. So I truly, truly just believed the doctor when he said, we got it all. You're fine. So I never gave it another thought. And then I met my husband, obviously. We had, that whole story happened. So 14 years later, I find myself working on a women's health team in my organization and, working on women's specific related diseases, including endometriosis. So I'm intrigued a little bit here because I'm like, oh, I have that, I think. I kind of have that. I think I have that. And the more I'm exposed to it through all these healthcare professionals, through these amazing, I can't even just call them healthcare professionals, these amazing physicians that are advocating for the education of endometriosis, and they're advocating for women to become aware so that they can act sooner. I come to find out that endometriosis is an incredibly severe disease that, if left untreated, could result in fertility loss. It could result in there's tons of things that I'm speaking to right now that I don't even really know the ins and outs of it. I'm still doing research right now, but it turns out that this is a lifelong disease that's hereditary that I've been living with and I didn't even know. And the doctor, when he diagnosed me, kind of just brushed it to the side and didn't tell me everything about it. And I didn't even think to ask because I kind of just blindly said, okay, he got it all, we're good. And I never looked into it further. And I'm annoyed with myself for never looking into it further. But again, I didn't know what I didn't know. And that's part of why I'm recording this particular story, because I want others to understand, like, one, if you're having severe pain, like obviously you need to really get that. You need to look into it. Like don't sleep on it. And beyond that, if your doctor tells you something, a doctor-patient relationship is not a one-way street. Doctors are human beings. They're not, they're not all knowing. And they also, in some instances, don't know what they don't know. They don't know everything. Do you know the amount of medical papers that are released every year and the amount of education yearly that doctors have to go through to stay on top of diseases that affect their specialties? It's an enormous amount of information. So I do want to say, like, while doctors will always do their best, they don't know everything. So it's important to look into things like that when anytime you get any kind of diagnosis, look into it, ask follow-up questions. Don't just let it lie, because that in the end causes problems. And you don't know if it's a lifelong disease, like in my case. So flash forward to now. I had started experiencing symptoms again, and I didn't really think anything of it. I kind of just assumed I was nearing perimenopause and that's why I started getting some strange symptoms. But in my work in women's health, all of a sudden the light bulbs went off, and it occurred to me in this work, wow, endometriosis doesn't go away. He did not get it all, as he mentioned. And I am in the midst of a flare up at the moment. Um, so I am acting on this, and I am, as I record this, driving to the doctor to get a a transvaginal ultrasound to see what is going on, how much of an issue I have, and what my next steps are going to be. So I'm documenting this so that I can share it with everybody and make sure that any other women that are experiencing these symptoms or have a history and they don't realize it, can maybe act on it and save themselves and save their fertility and save their uteruses, essentially. So I will continue to record as my story develops, and I will share this once I have a little bit more information to share. So that's it for now. I'm at the doctor's office right now, and wish me luck. And that's all. And I hope this helps somebody. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Jenny's little VIP thought episode. I hope you did find it helpful. And again, these are little mini quick hits, so won't take too much of your day. And I hope that it just brings you some clarity, some peace, maybe some joy in some instances, knowing that, we're sort of all in this together. Check out some of our full episodes, which have guests and my co-host and, lots of great things in them. But I hope that these mini-sodes are helpful to you. Thank you and take care.